Hi, this is Ed back again with another video here. Shout out to everybody on Patreon and Subscribestar. Thank you for your support. And of course, if you do want to support me, you can do it on patreon.com/theouterdark or subscribestar.com/theouterlight. So instead of titling each video just News Roundup, I'm going to title them based upon the first story. Maybe that'll help with some of the view count, maybe not. We'll see what happens. Anyway, there is this kind of strange phenomenon people are talking about where thousands of women, apparently, are getting double periods or missing their periods in June and July. This person stated here on Reddit Conspiracy, my period is late for the first time ever. Usually I'm super regular and can pinpoint the hour I'm going to get it. I'm not pregnant. My husband has a vasectomy and I've taken 4 tests. My SIL didn't know about this and she just sent me a video on Instagram about someone talking about how thousands of women are experiencing missing or late periods or double periods. So their SIL, I don't actually know what that means, got 2 periods last month and she never gets them. Our sister-in-law, I guess is that. What is going on? Anyone else experiencing this? My SIL said that it's happening to her and her friends as well. So here we have an actual mystery. Just like every mystery, there's a number of candidates you can point to. One would be this, and I'm going to start with possible critiques first before we get into this a bit more in depth. And that is, this could be a type of viral marketing. For instance, here is the post here that person's linking to. Me, when Netflix drops a documentary about how thousands of women around the world's periods was missing or doubled at the same time for the whole month of June and now it's July. The context of this is they're kind of like saying, this is how I'd read the context if you go look at the post. The context of this is reading it like they say this is a mystery and then Netflix is going to drop a documentary like, hey, this is going to turn into a Netflix documentary. It also could be, as I said, viral marketing for something Netflix related. Although when you do search, the only thing regarding menstruation and something seems to be back from 2018, a documentary short film apparently played on Netflix, as you can see there, I guess, whatever, some kind of short feature, but that was about it. Other critiques of this, you could say massive selection bias. The post literally asks, did this happen to you? Women with normal periods scroll past. Women who had something off feel compelled to reply. This inflates a signal erroneously, right? So yes, that's possible, but there's such a huge amounts of comments. Of course, there's priming. Once you read the thousands of women say their period was weird in June, you start interpreting your own cycle through that lens. So there, and also the Netflix documentary flag is the biggest flag. Multiple people ask what documentary, and the op never answers. This pattern creates viral mystery. Teaser documentary drive views is a known marketing play. However, when I did a search, when I asked my AI assistant to do a search, it said, no, there's no upcoming Netflix documentary about period changes. I searched extensively. The only period-related documentary is the one I referenced there. The documentary reference in that post is almost certainly a fabricated hook for virality, at least according to the AI. So here you have thousands of replies is the point. Now, you can achieve this obviously with bots. You could literally bot it out and target it with many bot replies. You can hire certain firms or whatever, certain orgs or certain, whatever, in order to hire their bot farm where they can do this. Bot farm being a literal farm array of cell phones with actual accounts. It could also be real. So a lot of people in the comment section were, of course, talking about how they had a double period, right? I do have a document here. I just have to, my little app I made for presentations doesn't seem to handle PDFs. I'm going to have to rectify that, but it's not really a big deal, is it? Let's go up to the top. As you can see, I've got thousands which I've imported here and converted into a PDF. Now, the thing about this isn't all the comments. This is only a small fraction of them. And as we scroll through very slowly, I mean, you can pause the screen at any particular time. You'll see these are all related to double menstrual cycles, nearly every single comment. There are some skeptics in here, but the amount of skepticism is very low. So what you're seeing is you are seeing everyone seemingly talk about a double menstrual cycle in June, May, June, I guess, July. These 3 months, specifically June, July, they're talking about, as you can see over and over again. But in regarding all these comments, which I'm scrolling through here, a lot of it seems to be replicating the same phenomenon, if the phenomenon's true. Obviously, you can put certain switches, certain suggestive mechanisms and things like that to make people, to twist the way that people perceive things. This is just how group behavior is and how suggestion advertising works, but there is a lot of this. We'll see in time if this has any validity. Now remember, there is documented evidence dating back to 2020 in regarding what people say, claim, vaccine shedding, and also the vaccine itself. Studies that show this even, and then emission through the mainstream media, that this really messed up and destroyed, in some cases, female menstrual cycles. Why would that happen? Well, because the actual work, the actual machinery of what drives the vaccine, according to other individuals, obviously I'm not an expert, that distributes throughout the body, and it might distribute in the heart, it might distribute in the lungs or the kidneys or wherever, and it can distribute around, the machinery which creates, a female menstrual cycle, right? So all these kinds of things. So a lot of women were reporting very heavy menstrual cycles, very heavy bleeding, right? And as I said at the time, if this is happening to females, this is most certainly some other biological thing is happening to males. Of course, you had people falling down dead. You had people lose their minds, right? The people that, even people that were around other people that had the vaccine, they didn't take it themselves. They got very sick or fevers, according to testimony of individuals. Here's a skeptic here who says there's 2 billion women aged 15 to 49 in the world. 14% of them have irregular periods. If anything, that number is low, and this isn't a phenomenon, this person says, the forever skeptic. Which is good and bad, right? It's good to be skeptical of nearly everything in reality these days. Not everything, but a lot of things. So here we have, I had it very regularly, and for me it started shifting from March. I had it every 20 days for a few times. Sometimes I read this stuff, and my first instinct is everything, the sentences that people write are sometimes incoherent these days, right? They're missing words and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I am the worst at this, right? I will send emails, I don't check spelling, don't check grammar, don't check typos. I just press send and I'm out, right? I'm just type it and I'm gone. And that's kind of become the norm. But what I mean is I've noticed, and maybe people notice it with me, I've noticed that when I read stuff, that it seems to be missing a word here and another word and then another word. Let me read it again. I had it very regularly, and for me it started shifting from March. It had it every 20 days for a few times. I had it every 20 days for a few times. I knew it could be possible, so I just I knew it could be possible, so I just accepted it as it was. Okay, it's not that bad. This is a bad example, actually, of me saying it because I read past some stuff which made me stumble. But you know what I mean? There's a lot of posts these, and there's a word, a entire word missing here, a entire word missing here. For this particular sentence and the last one especially, it's just clumsy kind of writing, which isn't their fault. I mean, they're not. I mean, I'm a writer myself, and I do it. So, but what I'm just saying is there's more of it. Even in myself, it's probably in there, but I haven't checked my own stuff. But I'm the worst, right? It's pot calling the kettle black. But mine was fine, came at, see, look at this. Mine was fine, came at exactly, mine was fine, comma. Okay, came at exactly 28 days on the dot and lasted 5 days. Maybe I'm not special enough. I don't know. This person says, oh my God, I've had a regular cycle for years, and then in June my period never came. It finally came 19 days late. So weird. Okay, so we're in the start there. I mean, look at all of these. Look at all of it. Thousands and thousands of replies. I would say 90% in agreement that this is happening to them. A lot of people may be making a joke, and there is a lot of people that's saying it's related to CERN. Okay. Hey, maybe, I don't know. But this is what a lot of people are saying. CERN shut down and now people are having irregular periods. It doesn't track, obviously. It's probably more like a joke. Other people pointing to geomagnetic storms such as coronal mass ejections. This isn't so much because there is data from studies that point to geomagnetic storms could possibly affecting menstrual cycles in women, do affect behavior apparently. Most of the research is actually out of Russia, but in the West they don't tend to investigate woo, so to speak, which is, is that scientific not to investigate something because, I don't know, it seems strange? Not really. That's kind of like what's edited type of investigation, isn't it? You're allowed or you're not. It's kind of like you're someone investigating pipes or something rather than somebody looking for truth. You're looking for, does the pipe have a hole in it? And then you say, well, what about over here? We're talking about these trees are dying. And then you say, I only understand things about pipes and holes because I'm a scientist. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you scroll back and you're objective, that's basically it. I only understand a pipe. If it's not a pipe, then I don't understand what holes are. Obviously, it's more interesting in the world, where people actually have the freedom to search for something. In a lot of different places like physics and things like this, at least they can come up with concepts and ideas, on their blackboard, and the cost to them is their time and energy, obviously, and the machinery sometimes to test it. For instance, CERN took the entire particle accelerator of CERN to prove the God particle, for example, which was pointed to through mathematics. But, in a lot of different areas, especially medicine and things like that, you have to have millions and millions and millions of dollars just to get off your chair. Why is there no evidence? Point to a study about saying, where's the study? You got $60 million to do the study? All scientists do, and I've known a few, especially in cancer research, a newer cancer researcher actually, all they do is complain how they never have any money. They're like me in real life. Except they need millions of dollars. So anyway, that is that particular story. I thought it was quite interesting actually. I don't know obviously what's happening. I have no idea. Obviously it affects women's menstrual cycles. I don't know, are they firing rays at us now? Did they spray some new stuff? I know they've got, in the States, they've got a peel over all the vegetables, all over all the vegetables and fruit now, so it's just a side effect from that. I mean, no one's actually ever going to go look. That's the takeaway. At the end of the day, see, you know what the mistake was? There's a lot of people always said to me, because I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist, as you know, although I'm in remission now, because the conspiracies themselves that arise, the conspiracy actually is a lot of them are manufactured by the government. That's the bottom of the rabbit hole, right? You reach the bottom of the rabbit hole, you realize a lot of this is actually scripted by the government forces, not just in Western governments, but around the world, competing for their brainwashing. It's not like one person's being brainwashed. They're in competition to brainwash you. But I was thinking about it, and a lot of people are saying, oh, yes, we're all just sheep on the farm. And, this farmer is basically, whoever's above Bilderberg, and they look after their animals as long as they're useful, and then they put them in the truck to the glue factory. I was thinking, that's not it. That is not it at all. Because farmers actually care about their animals, right? They care about them for the most part, right? They care if the sheep is what happens with sheep is that, they get dags on them and stuff like that, and their fur, and, maggots can lay in that, and sometimes they can get into the sheep and actually eat away at it, these maggots. I always thought that maggots only ate dead flesh, but I guess that's not completely true. But they can eat away at the lamb. Farmers care. They're going to give their lamb, then they're going to shear him. You don't just bring your sheep over and just smack it in the head. No. Farmers care about their animals, right? They care about their horses. They care about, people care about their animals in general, because most human beings are actually very kind. That's the secret. Actually, most human beings are actually very kind and generous and good people. It's just that because they're surrounded by strangers, they always have to have on their war front, right? Because they don't know if you're going to take something from them or hurt them or something. This is in our DNA. That's why cities don't work, and I've always said it. You're just surrounded by a bunch of people that don't know if you're there to kill them. Instinctively. They might smile when they're talking to you, but they don't know. You're not their friend. You're not their puppy they come home to that licks their face and they love and squeeze just that little bit, they love their puppy. No. You're surrounded by strangers, right? So that's why if you go to a club, and I don't mean a nightclub, but, like a stamp club or, a model train society, people instantly start to get on because they recognize the symbolisms of the similar tribe, even though they're strangers. It's a very interesting thing about symbolisms. People want to be part of a tribe. That's why they go out there and they buy all the sneakers. And the machinery of this world, the advertisers know all this. They manipulate and hack it and exploit it until you're covered in symbolism you don't even understand. Nonetheless, we are not on a farm, okay? Because farmers care about their animals. No, we are a corpse. Not a corpse, but we're alive, but we're a sick person on a bed being eaten by parasites. Alien parasites. That's the relationship. Okay, so let's go on here. So Donald Trump, who is the art of the deal, as you know, the greatest deal maker ever, who's got the deal where he's won the war, then, there's no war, no, but then there is a war, but no, there's not a war, but he won the war, but there's no war. Or here's the one where we've got to deal with Iran. I love Iran. Now Iran's sick. We don't have a deal. No, we have a deal. No, we don't have a deal. The strait's open. No, the strait's closed. No, it's closed. But we obliterated their army so they can't do anything, right? They can't do anything. We obliterated their nuclear weapons last year, early this year. We flew we flew this plan, we blew up their weapons, and then we left. We blew up all their uranium. They won't have a nuclear weapon for 1,000 years. A few months later, we've got to stop them from getting nuclear weapons. Okay. The deal maker. Okay, this is a recipe. If you look at all this, a normal person would look at all this and they would say, I'm actually waiting for another grocery order, would you believe it? But it's a smaller order. But I got this free voucher for free, kind of like free groceries, which I'm going to use. But so is the war going? Is the war ending? If you really were objective about this and you look at this mess, a normal person, a rational person would believe nothing they have to say. Nothing. Because the only historical examples are lies. That meaningless lies that mean nothing. He says statements like the Epstein files are fake and a hoax. Well, you can't believe anything he has to say again. But now everyone believes what he has to say again because it's coming up to, it's the weekend. So he says that he's been talking to Iran and Iran badly want to make a deal. Meanwhile, the Iranian people say, no, we never talked to him. This happens every single time. But the markets are open on Monday. So you have to kind of like, yeah, we've got a deal in the works, don't worry. Again, they trade on it. Anyway, his entire feed was just full of war footage, you know. This kind of just over and over again, bombs going off. This is what he does every day. Like, this means something. Or you're blowing people up. You're blowing up, a lot of this is just civilian targets, right? Like bridges, or apparently they hit a nuclear power plant, and then people say, no, they didn't hit it. And then other people say they hit it. No one knows what's happening. No one knows anything. That's 2026. 2026 is, it's impossible to figure out what's happening. All we just have is lies, and you have to try to make sense of all these lies. So someone said he posted this. I had a brief look through his feed. I didn't see it, so it's possible that he didn't post it, but here it is here anyway. Anyway, he remember when on the White House was posting all that stuff, like the Nintendo footage of them playing Nintendo Golf, and then the targets would blow up, and they'd say hole in one. And remember the other weird one they showed with like Superman, like Christopher Reeves and all these like Hollywood heroes, and how you need to get together to bomb Iran. As if Christopher Reeve's Superman, the spirit of that particular character, would want you to bomb Iran. The literal story was about him collecting all the missiles to stop everyone else from blowing themselves up, right? But here apparently he posted this. Again, I didn't look through it in depth, but I would give it a 50% chance, which is meaningless. Bum, 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 Iran. Some rocks, tell the Ayatollah gonna put you in a box. By the way, I doubt he reads any of these, right? These are all people that his staff that put this together. And when he puts this together, you think to yourself, it seems like he's got a really weird sense of humor. Like this is kind of like at a completely inappropriate time to have a sense of humor about something, because this is the most serious subject you can get to, which is you're killing people. They killed all those school children, remember, with bombs. Is that funny? Is that funny to kill all the kids? Wherever the kids are, whether in Palestine or whether over there, Gaza or whatever, is that humorous? Like, this is as dystopic as you can get. Now, the thing about it is that what is interesting is listening to Penn Jillette. Now, Penn Jillette has notoriously never been a Trump supporter, doesn't like Donald Trump. But I do believe he's an honest person when he characterizes somebody, because he seems like an honest person. This might be the grocery order. Okay, I just had to run down the steps, so I might be a bit out of breath. If you're wondering what I got some Greek yogurt. It's that Greek vanilla yogurt, and I got some I got some water, and I got some meat. That was it. Yes, I am continuing with my rice and meat diet, but I've switched it up because I was eating just chicken, but I did throw some red meat in there now because I was looking at the vitamin profile. So I'm going to see how that goes. Anyway, that is the video there that he allegedly posted. Again, I didn't confirm it. I could have looked through all of his bomb footage. Sam's getting pretty hot. Time to turn Iran into a parking lot. Bomb Iran. Again, you know, people dying. This is the most serious thing that you could do. Not going to talk about the trial of Tyler Robinson. The reason why is I think that there's enough evidence. There's enough evidence of obfuscation. There's enough evidence of tampering. I don't have to go into it. They turned the parking. They basically retiled it the next day. Their body cam footage disappeared of the police officer. And all this other kinds of stuff that's happening. I mean, it just looks like it's a state operation, and in my opinion, and what else is there to say? They say that this is the gun which they collected, of course, and they said the scope was on backwards. Again, people say that, but I don't know if that's attached to the rifle in that photo or if it's just placed on top of the rifle and it was removed, in which case it isn't on backwards, it's just been placed in the box backwards. It just happens to be placed on top of the rifle, whereby it looks like it's attached to the rifle. In fact, if I had to guess, I feel like that would be what's happening. Not that it makes any difference to me. I think it's a complete state op. And I'm just saying that when you look at photographs, I don't know. But the people are saying the scope's on backwards, different things like that. There's a close-up so you can look at it. The reason why it looks like the scope is not even attached, I don't think it's attached first. I could be mistaken. I'm not an expert on rifles. I have fired rifles and things like that and guns in the past when I was a kid. Not a kid, teenager. But, so, what's that? Like, oh my God, look how time passed 30 years ago. But that scope does look to me like it's sitting on top of the rifle. But again, I'm just guessing. I have no idea. I mean, it could just be what it looks like. But people are saying that about the scope, which doesn't look like it's attached. Now, a few weeks ago, I was talking about how at the very center of science in Scientific American, they had an open letter, which was from a bunch of physicists, biologists, all kinds of people. I forget the exact configuration of the individuals, but what they found was that what these people are saying is they have to look at science in a different way, because now with the wheel experiment being confirmed, which confirms this experiment here that Elon Musk is talking about, that confirms this, then you have to ask what reality is. And this is why when people argue about the Mandela effect, you have to think, well, the very nature of reality comes down to seemingly is affected by the observer. So what does that mean? Does that mean that history or the past is real in the same way that we believe it? Or is it something that is, you can reconfigure it, or it can have a slight adjustment, or it's affected by other things? For instance, if you look at retrocausality, which is the idea that the future affects the past, then because this is a way that they use also to explain the double slit experiment. These are weird things. I mean, it's very hard to understand, but that's the idea that the future affects the past. So if there was some event in the future, let's say there was some kind of like mass anomaly created by, mad scientists, and it created some kind of real weird particle or dimensional black hole, kind of weird anomaly, we could pick up ripples of it in the past, which is here, of something that happened in the future, because energy itself can go backwards in time, I guess. The idea is that you can borrow energy from, I guess, the past to do something in the future, or the future, I don't know. I did half write a novel about it. That's why I know a little bit about it, although my memory's not that good. Get rid of this phone, actually. Make sure you always turn off your phones after you've used them. If you're a super paranoid person like me, you got to turn that off. Only turn it on when you're getting a call. But here is what Elon Musk posted as well. I'm just using this as a jumping point. A lot of people have seen this video. This is an extremely famous video that's on the net. A lot of people watch this because it's such a great, simple video of how to explain the concept. But Elon Musk says here, consistent with the simulation hypothesis, like a video game, objects are randomly generated with positional certainty only when observed. So here is, he thinks it's a video game. But let's play some of this video here. Actually, I'm going to play the whole thing. Well, let's just play some of it. See how it goes.
If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit...
I've just stopped this to explain what's happening here for people that are unfamiliar. the idea is if you're using particles, little particles, he's talking about firing through that slit, right? Through that slit. That's what he's talking about. Little particles. He's not talking about other things. He's talking about little particles, right? And so let's keep on going here.
He went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So, they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits, and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one, and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched.
So there's one of the grandest mysteries. I've watched so many videos on it, and I would say, well, as Richard Feynman said, if you can understand, what's going on there, you don't understand. Well, see, if you can understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics, or something like that. But I've always thought that was fascinating. And that's the heart of reality, right? And then, so your observer and your intention affects the very substance of reality. And people say to you, you know, prayer or positive thinking or your thoughts or whatever, they don't mean anything. Okay, they don't mean anything. I thought that was interesting. So, you know, we're going to get into the UFO thing in a moment, but just wanted to show you this video of Ringo Starr looking fantastic. He's 86 now. Obviously, people say, yeah, well, he dyes his hair. He's, you know, got all new teeth. He's had plastic surgery. If you're 86 years old and you're just moving around without a cane, you're doing pretty good. Okay, let's listen to Ringo Starr here.
I was celebrating Global Beatles Day the other day, my friend, and I went to a record store. Hundreds of people there, they were all younger than me.
Yeah.
That's...
Imagine how young they are to me.
Right, it's crazy. What do you put that down to when you think about it?
I don't know. I think I know how to deal with kids. I've got 10 grandkids.
You've just announced a new leg of the tour. You've just come off a leg of the tour. You just released Long, Long Road. When music isn't a job, what role does music play in your life?
I won't play any more of it. You get the picture. It was looking really good. Of course, Ringo Starr's actually a lifelong vegetarian since like the 1960s. He eats like goat cheese and that, and just vegetables and stuff. So people always say that vegetarians and things are sickly and they're falling apart, depending upon their diet, right? Ringo Starr can have all organic food. Not only that, but he's probably got organic farms he sources from, which he owns, and he knows exactly what's in them. I think if you ate either diet, you would actually be good as long as you could stay away from the pesticides, right? Which are in everything. I mean, eat Doritos. It's like when my family member came and visited me and they had some Doritos, and I don't usually eat Doritos, right? And I ate one Dorito and like the whole bag was gone. I looked down at it and it was gone a few minutes later because I ate them all. It was only a 45-gram bag, but it's like a poison. It's like a spell or something by some sorcerer. That's what it's turned into because it's gotten so sophisticated. Okay, so what's my opinion on all the UFO stuff? Because conveniently enough, the White House is releasing never before seen footage on their official Twitter and X accounts. They've released it. I haven't got those screen caps here, but this is official footage from them. The Pentagon has released a fourth batch of UFO documents and videos, including what officials describe as the clearest footage yet, showing two large two-tier objects captured in infrared, so on and so forth. This taken with an infrared sensor aboard a US military platform, i.e. a plane probably, or ship. What do I think of this particular footage? Did I bring the footage in here? I'm going to have to go get the footage. 1 second. Okay, so here is the footage here. I just got one from Russia Today. Warp speed UFI high resolution Pentagon vid of unseen top heavy craft. Where are the F and Epstein files, it says on the spacecraft, in even clearer shot from comment below? Making a joke there. Now, a lot of people, this is actual footage that was released. A lot of people are pointing to this footage as some of the clearest, some of the best footage. In my opinion, you would have to be insane right now to believe anything that comes out of any government, especially the Trump administration. They lie constantly. There's no truth whatsoever. Why would you believe any? Oh, now we're going to believe them, right? It's the next day. It's Tuesday. Oh, now we're going to believe them, right? You'd have to be insane. It's not whether this footage is real or not. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that it is real. Okay? There's just their word for it. What's their word? Oh, we didn't use any Tomahawk missiles hitting the school. That wasn't us. That was another country. Lies. Okay? It's lies, right? Oh, no, we didn't hit anything. It turned out to be a gigantic lie, right? Oh, we're not in a war. No, we're not in a war. Lie. Right? The Epstein files are a hoax. There's nothing burger. No one's even interested in the Epstein. Lie. I could go through the lies, but there's like a sea of them. There's an ocean. So let's have a look at the footage here anyway, for reference purposes. That's the footage. That's the footage. What is that? Bunch of mylar balloons tied together. Is that it? What is that? Nothing. You know what? I've never seen in the history of UFOs, and I used to have a calendar, a wall thing with all the different UFOs recorded on them and all the different shapes via testimony. I've never heard of anything that's that shape, except a bunch of balloons or something else. Why a bunch of balloons? Look, I don't even think it's real. I think they probably just made it in some kind of CGI or AI or whatever and just threw it out there. I don't think they're releasing anything that's real. I think the only things they're releasing are things that they know are not real UFOs, such as balloons, other, drone footage of other drones, footage of missiles or other craft, terrestrial aircraft. All the footage of UFOs is actually discs, triangular shaped UFOs, although they're a different type, such as the flap you had in the Belgium UFO flap in the, what was that, the early 90s, late 80s, I can't remember the exact date, like 89, 90 or whatever it was. Flap being, a bunch of sightings at once. All types of different other things, mainly discs, different shaped discs, diamond shapes, bell shaped. If you go from the number of famous cases there, we have bell shapes, especially in the United States. There was a famous account there. Blah blah blah. I never heard of anything that looks like that. To me, that looks like a bunch of balloons in which the filter's been changed to make it look angular and block-like because it's not picking up the correct form of it. In fact, people say jokingly, they said, original, enhanced nano banana version, and enhanced by ADR, a bunch of balloons. And you know what is funny about this? On Owen Schroyer said this, that no one cares. Literally no one cares anymore. I don't care. I've been following ufology my entire life. I don't even care one little bit. At all. In fact, when I see this, I just think it's fake. Instantly, I just say it's fake. Because look where it's coming from. They have no credibility. The Trump administration has zero credibility. In fact, here's the Wall Street Journal, which is a paper I don't trust. But they said in 2025, the Pentagon, they are the Pentagon, by the way, the Pentagon disinformation that fueled America's UFO mythology. See, the Pentagon for years operated a very aggressive disinformation campaign, where they would send out false things, lies. Everything put out is lies and was false, and now suddenly all this is real. The truth is this, as noted under the Obama administration when they changed the propaganda rules inside the United States because of all that baseball game being broadcast to Cuba or whatever it is, and it was also, Americans were listening to it as well, they changed it to legalize propaganda against the US people themselves. All this, why would you believe any of it? If you want the truth, you have to really go off and find the truth seekers, the enthusiasts. That's why, if you want to know about trains, you can ask the conductor of an actual train about trains. They probably will know a bit, but they probably won't know that much. If you really want to know about trains, you go ask an enthusiast. The ones that have they've got their like living room mapped out with a model railway. They like cry when they see a big nice when there was a recent video of someone that went over to America, train enthusiast, was watching this. It was a big, beautiful steam engine in America. It's called the Big Boy or something like that. But he was crying because it was so beautiful to him. It is a beautiful train, I must admit. You ask them, they know everything about trains. The gauge of all the different trains, it's the length between, the wheels or whatever it is. I actually used to work at a place that had trains where I was, you would say, at the time, you would say an expert on trains, specific trains. I will put them out. say. But I wasn't really an expert. I was someone that was given some documents to read, and then, if people ask, then I knew the questions. I wasn't an enthusiast, right? And I wasn't really an expert, but I was just given these docs, just a job. If you want to know about computers, you ask an enthusiast, right? You ask someone that's a retro tech enthusiast that are programming their own, you don't ask like somebody at the computer store who are hired to be there. You ask an enthusiast, right? So you ask somebody that knows about these things. You're not going to get any information from any of these hack journalists, these like, hey, look at me, I'm opening the door now. I was invited in here and I'm getting all, you're not going to get anything from them, okay? It's not like they're all engaged in puppetry. It's that they become puppets because, the access journalism, I'm not saying, there are journalists like Leslie Keane, I think she's great, Richard Dolan, these kinds of people that have been around forever. But a lot of these new people that pop up with a new studio, and they, hey, I'm a UFO expert. Are you? Maybe disinformation expert. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play this clip here, and this is by Joe Rogan's friend. His name's Joey Diaz. And he's talking about how everyone's changed. Now, he's doing it kind of like, he's just things, but everyone I know thinks this. And I think of myself as well. I know people that their personalities have been completely changed. Right? A lot of people change. I've probably changed. Right? But the last 5 years now, it's been half a decade, right, since the pandemic. A lot of things has happened. It's information overload. I've always been talking about this, which was, too much information here. This one specific vector, of course, there's many, including environmentals, chems and stuff like that in the environment. But everyone's changed. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I think the biggest thing I'm looking at is I've never seen mental health like this. I know people. I grew up with people. And I talk to them now, and they're not the same fucking person.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the same person. I know the pandemic or whatever, the 30 years of comedy, getting hit in the head. Who the fuck knows? But right now, man, did you see like the last 10 years, the rise and everybody's a politician now? Anywhere you go, people want to talk to you about politics. I never seen like men don't even want to talk about pussy no more. But what do you think? It's too much information. And that pandemic fucked us up because what were you doing? Listen to music or watching TV, waiting for the next fucking hand job. After the pandemic, I never watched world news ever again.
Yeah.
That's the same as me. I have no interest whatsoever in listening to any type of mainstream news at all. I have to force myself to do it because it's my job, right? But I don't listen to like mainstream stuff. I listen to, basically, people that have at least come up in an organic way by having an audience, rather than someone that's just given a chair in a studio and told what to repeat on a teleprompter. But I have no interest in mainstream news, no interest in newspapers, nothing. Zero at all. Let's keep on going here.
I'm an American. I want to watch that at 6:30. I was raised on them. I don't watch anymore because they're just scaring white people.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. They're giving you selective news. I don't believe anything no more. I just live my life, and I fucking try my best to decipher what's getting thrown at you all day.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are saying. They're just living their lives now, right? They don't care about anything. You're just going forward. Actually, what's happening, and I think there's a very clear case of this, and this is where you have this period of hypernormalization, where you don't have any dreams anymore. You don't believe really anything anymore. That's where we're at, which is, as I've said in the past, was the name Richard Curtis from that documentary regarding manufacturing consent with Noam Chomsky. And even Noam Chomsky's changed. I don't blame Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is like 95 years old, you know. But his personality changed, I think, after the pandemic severely. Remember, he was saying that you should round people up that are not going to get vaccinated, thereby saying that basically science is the new authority, and science being an authority now can take away your freedoms. But that's all dependent upon what is the science and who are the people in authority, right? And Nazis had scientists. If you change those out, should they be in authority? No. But, you know, he's 95 years old, but he did a great, his information, his book, of course, was used in that documentary by, was it Richard Curtis, called Manufacturing Consent, and it was a great documentary. I don't even know where you can watch that now. It might be on YouTube, maybe on YouTube, that would be it. It probably is on Daily Motion. Everything's on Daily Motion, it would seem. Let's keep on going.
But the mental health, I think right now, and this is what it's got to be. It's the internet. It's the fucking, everybody's a celebrity now. We're living in a world where everybody's a fucking celebrity now. You go to a fucking movie theater now, they got poster boards for you to take pictures up. Everybody's a fucking celebrity. I've never seen a world like this. I got at restaurants by my house on Thursday nights. You can't pull up.
Yeah.
Can't pull up. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, to go to a fucking restaurant. Everybody's a fucking celebrity. The other half, we're fighting for our fucking lives. And then they keep putting this shit at you. Every day, you put the news on in the afternoon or whatever. The Trump hush deal, this, that. It's constant. It's always in your face. And if you get sucked in by it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've seen the people. We're getting thrown so much information at us anymore. It's so much.
Joey Diaz reminds me of, the person that's like an invasion of the body snatchers noticing. We're all noticing. We all see it. It's not the same world. It doesn't feel, the air doesn't feel the same, right? It doesn't smell the same. There's not the same energy everywhere. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? There's this great scene, you might or might not know it, in Wizard of Oz. I was watching Wizard of Oz again. Usually I just like watch little parts. And I'm not watching it like a viewer now. I'm watching it like looking at the past and seeing how people behaved. Like as actors, right? They're acting in a role. But in their acting as a role and being directed, they are putting themselves into the character, making choices and, things like this, or the director's making choices about what to show. There is this really beautiful thing that happens a few times in The Wizard of Oz. I wish I could get the clip, actually. Let me get the clip of it as we scroll out. I guess this other thing I had to show was, I got a couple of things here. It was just this Ian Carroll with Ben Shapiro the sorcerer. I don't even call him a person anymore. He's literally like a sorcerer, or a wizard or something. He's like a warlock, because he doesn't have any interest in you at all, where you live or die. His interest in using his spellcraft in order to get you to do what you want to do, what he wants you to do. Get in the box, get in the sack. And he wants to put you in the sack with the chickens and the other things he's taking back to his king. He's like a magical sack, like in The Storyteller or whatever. That's a great episode, actually. Based upon an old Germanic tale. He had a little beef with Ian Carroll. It goes back and forward. Ian Carroll calls him an Israeli gremlin. Thinks Americans that work normal jobs are all brain-dead idiots. Not surprising, really. So here's the view count between Ian Carroll. As you can see, his videos, hundreds of thousands, of views. Like 500,000, 300,000, so on and so forth. Absolutely destroying. Here's Ben Shapiro, as always, gone. Let's have a look at saying that's a few hours old, 1 day old, 100,000. Remember, he's got 8 million subscribers. 28,000 from a day ago. 89,000, well, that's from 2 hours ago. Basically, his channel's dying. We've gone into this multiple different times. So when Ian Carroll says, pretty awkward when you think about it, Ben, he's circling stuff from weeks ago on his channel, and he's circling stuff from days or hours ago on Ben Shapiro's channel. But I can confirm Ben Shapiro's views are absolutely abysmal from weeks ago. Right? He's propped up by his sorcery, right? What is his objective? He lies constantly. I don't think I've ever seen him tell the truth lately. Okay. Anyway, I'll show you this great part of Wizard of Oz. But let me play. Well, let me come back here and I'll go grab it. Okay, so here it is. Here I've got both of them on this. This one doesn't look like very good resolution though. But there's this thing where they do. So in this shot, when she's dancing with the scarecrow, they do this robot walk. But look, there's two things I want to talk about. First of all, everything is about choices and what they decide to show. And when I look at this, it just seems like people that, like this has a real soul to it, if you know what I mean. Whereas today's doesn't. And I could go into specifics why. I think that what stories are being made are largely soulless. They look good on screen. I mean, technically, if, you know, some kind of teacher from the past was like saying, which is more technically well done, more realistic, you would point in the direction we are now. There's more realism, but it's also stuff that doesn't have any feeling to it. But anyway, I wanted to show you this thing here, which is, look at the dance between the scarecrow and how in sync they are. This is a really bad copy. Look how in sync they are. Maybe I can make that bigger. Can I make this a bit bigger? Look how in sync they are with their feet. And they do this thing where they point, where he falls down and then she picks him up. But it seems also organic, but it's choreographed, but it's got kind of enough freedom in it where it just looked really good. I just wanted to point this out.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is the Wizard of Wiz, if ever a Wiz there was. If ever a Wiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does.
See, he keeps on falling down, but she's dancing at the same time, but picking him up. I know how to explain. This next clip is better because it'll be in more... I've got a higher resolution version, actually. But look how in sync their feet are. I don't know, this got probably a bit of subject, but listen, look at it. They don't do anything that's interesting.
To see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is the Wizard of Wiz, if ever a Wiz there was. If ever a Wiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful thing.
They added this kind of like robot dance where they have their arms thrown out into it. But this is probably a bit better. I wonder if I've got two on this. This is probably a bit high quality.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is the Wizard of Wiz, if ever a Wiz there was. If ever a Wiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does.
You know, when I look at that, it just seems so organic and like human. Do you know what I mean? Like this art was made by human beings. I think that's what I'm talking about. Like today's movies, they're technically this and that. I mean, the stories, in my opinion, as a storyteller, the stories are trash. But like visually, I think they're visually trash as well because the lighting is just, the lighting's all terrible. It looks like it's filmed on like a cell phone or something. You know, like it's got this clarity of everything in the background, everything in the foreground. There's no depth of field, no focus pulls or anything. Not that this, I mean, they're naturally going out of focus there because they're going away from the camera. But here is this really cool thing that I noticed, and it's in this dance here actually. So here they are, they've met up with the Tin Man. Okay, they met up with the Tin Man. I'll just play it out here. And then they do this really funny thing, which I actually cracked up laughing when I was watching this. This really funny thing where they're going in one direction, but it's the wrong direction down the yellow brick road. And they point it, and then they move their hands over to point in the other direction and go in the other direction. I thought that was just such a brilliant touch. But we'll watch it all here, and you'll see what I mean.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he
See, they're going the wrong direction. I just thought, I don't know what it was about that, but I thought that's so human. Like, it's, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's so kind of like fun. Do you know what I mean? It's so, it's like the spirit of art. Like, it's hard to explain. It's just, it's so organic to add that there. And obviously the technique and the dancers, they are all experts at what they've done. They've all practiced this, obviously, but they're making it look loose and like it's just happening organically, which of course, you know, they are masters of their craft. Judy Garland, of course, you know, has been on screen since she was a little kid, right? So, well, being in dance and this. But look how perfectly in sync they are. Not perfectly, obviously, but amazingly in sync. It's just, you know, like here, I just think this thing with the arm, like when they point in one direction, but they're going the wrong way, so they point in the other direction. I'll play one. I don't know what it was about this, but when I seen this, I was like, it feels so human. Like, so it feels like I'm watching something made by humans. Everything about this particular movie, which comes out of copyright, I think in 2030 or something, but everything about this movie, the first half of the movie is great. Now, I think it does, I mean, I'm not being that person, but I do think once they get to the whole castle and stuff, you know, the Wicked Witch, and then they throw the water on it, it does slow down quite a bit. But it's a work of art until then. I mean, most movies, you know, have the best parts of them, and there's definitely an amazing. But do you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, let's watch this thing here anyway. Look at them. You know, they time the fall of the scarecrow with that the horns, but just over here, this is great. It's just so great. I don't know, when I seen that, I was just like, wow, that's what's missing. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it or articulate it, even as a storyteller myself, but when I seen that, I go, that's what's missing from everything. It's like that feeling of play, you know, and looseness and non-seriousness, although that doesn't mean technically not brilliant. It just means that there's a looseness to it. You know, these are all master craftspeople involved in this, of course. But there is just a looseness. Also, I never noticed this bird in the background up there before. Though I haven't seen it a million times. Some kind of long neck, like an ostrich or something in the background. Is that it's some kind of crane, is it? I don't know if that's real or something that is, you know, a puppet or something. But you do have that bird in the background. It's probably a puppet. Yeah, it's just great. What a great movie. And I did watch I'm halfway through Return to Oz from 1985, which is based upon the sequel, actually, to Wizard of Oz, part of the second book and the third, and it has all these wonderful characters in it. I can't say as an adult I'm heavily entertained by children's stuff. It's unless there's nostalgia attached to it, like the Wizard of Oz for me. But I was just watching it to see the sequel. As far as a children's story, I think that it probably, people say it's very dark. It's a darker representation. Return to Oz from 1985. It does start with I think it's an asylum or a sanatorium. Sanatoriums evolved from places to take rest, and slowly evolved into something more with a different name, you know. So some crossover there. But initially they were funded, I've said this before, they were funded by wealthy people who just wanted to have a place where you could just go and get off the bus, or the horse back then, and you could walk in there and say, you know, could spend some time, in a place where people looked after you. And I think we need that today. You don't need to be mad in order to need to go to somewhere like that. If you're just like at wit's edge and you want to close up the house and like lock the door and go to a sanatorium for a few weeks, that is something which you should be able to, that would be a great thing for society to have, right? To just go lay in a bed where someone makes your meals for you for a week and you don't have to worry about anything anymore. You don't have to, because sometimes for some people, they can't even get out of bed, right? To get out of bed and to go to the kitchen is too much for them. It's too much. It's just everything's too stressful. It's mostly related to diet, obviously, but and other factors. But back then they used to put like lead in everything, so that was probably and chemicals and everything. But I never met much people that were raised out in the country that needed to go to an insane asylum constantly. But yeah, anyway, we're past the news hour anyway, aren't we? We're before, it's almost 5. One more time with this. Watching that now kind of makes me a bit sad, actually, knowing that it's all dead. Whatever that is dead and gone and died. They just had such a great sense of humor back then, like through this stuff. It wasn't this like, now I watch like, not all comics, there's a lot of good comics out there, like a stand-up comic. But a lot of the new comics and a lot of the people, all they do is make fun of people. Which, they do that, comics do that, right? But that's all they do, and they do it in a nasty way. Ha ha ha. I'm not saying you have to go back to some kind of like generic milquetoast version of like comedy, but it just feels like you're seeing a bunch of nasty people that want to be nasty to other people. Like there's no joy in anything anymore. One more time for the road of this great scene in Wizard of Oz. Then I'll play that chicken. I got a video about a chicken to show you what chemicals in it.
The wonderful Wizard of Oz. Here he is, the Wizard of a Wizard. If ever a Wiz there was. If ever a Wiz there was, the Wizard of Oz.
Every time I see that. If I had a gift that like I could put on like my avatar or something, it'd be that. You're going this way, it's the wrong way. Let's go the other way. And what a fantastic story by, the Wizard of Oz itself, right? Although the books are a lot stranger, I have read them than the actual movies could ever be. For instance, the actual first one here, The Wizard of Oz, I think they might even talk, for a sentence about bees, but there's this strange scene with bees. It's a lot of it's surrealist. But anyway, the Return to Oz, a lot of people are saying it was darker because it was set in an asylum in the beginning, or a sanatorium or whatever, where she was getting electroshock therapy. She was only very young. See, the Dorothy in this is, what's she, about 16 or something? The age is around about, I think, 10 or 11. And also, it had a different feeling because the kid was smaller and they're getting electroshock therapy. So it started off with that really dark kind of feeling about it. I'm not saying this is necessarily bad, as a family movie, because you can have dark stuff in like these children's stories, right? Fairy tales and things are always fairly dark because they teach lessons. But anyway, with this, it was like she was getting electroshock therapy and then she was rescued. And the reason why it's a lot darker than this is because it doesn't have any musical numbers in it. Like this here is like when they're doing this thing with the hands. That's fun, right? It's like a fun story. It creates a fun atmosphere. Anyway, let's go back to the chickens. And then we head out. So this is the individual talking about what's wrong with chickens. And this is true because when you get rotisserie chickens, whether in New Zealand, Australia, I don't know about Great Britain, but definitely the United States, as you'll see here in Costco. Well, we've got Costco in Australia. I don't think we've got Costco here. We have Target. But Target's not similar. This Costco is a big, massive supermarket, which would be equivalent here. We have something called Pack and Save. But Australia has Costco, I believe. Anyway, roast chickens are similar in these three places because they have the similar ingredients. One of these ingredients called, what she's going to talk about here, sodium phosphate or something. I keep on forgetting out what it is poisonous. It is actually, I looked into the medical research and people have higher blood pressure after eating it because it narrows the arteries. It constricts the. Why would you ever want to put something in food that constricts all your arteries? And why would you want to do that? But it's in there. They spray it. That's why I get it frozen. You get a whole frozen chicken. It's cheaper too. Obviously, you have to wait for it to defrost and you have to break it up, but it's a frozen chicken. And when you look at the ingredients on the back, it just says chicken, right? Now with this, it's let's play the video.
Stop buying Costco rotisserie chicken. Here's why. You probably didn't know this, but this little peep is only about 6 weeks old. This is a specially bred chicken in horrible conditions, grown and fattened on likely corn and soy that's GMO to create this chicken in 6 weeks that you're eating. They take it to a mass slaughterhouse where they dip it in chlorine and other toxins to make it safe, and it's leaving those residues on the chicken. And this bird isn't just seasoned with normal herbs and spices. They have preservatives in here like sodium phosphate that's linked to liver and kidney damage, and carrageenan, which can degrade into polygenine, which is a known inflammatory agent and possible carcinogen. And lastly, this chicken is hot, right out of the oven, stored in a plastic bag. Nobody really knows what type of plastic bag this is, but it's likely a mix of polyethylene terephthalate. Remember that word phthalate, it's a known hormone disruptor, and this is microwave safe, so you're putting hot food into a plastic bag that can leach these hormone disrupting chemicals, and 117 million of these are eaten each year in the US, so share this video with your friends.
Problem is, it's as easy, isn't it? I used to get them all the time myself. I used to get back in the days, you used to get a chicken, a French stick, which is just a big baguette, and for those in the States, and get a tomato, get a lettuce, get some, throw some mustard, basically make a Subway, with the roast chicken. But I used to get this reaction to the chicken, after I'd eat it, I feel my heart start to race or something. And I tracked it back to that stuff because then when I ate chicken without it, and nothing happens, I felt fine. But when I ate the roast chicken, because of that, that phosphate in there, whatever the hell that is, whatever the other chemicals in. Now, I'm not saying, if you look into it, only a certain amount of people get a reaction, but it does do this stuff to your arteries and veins and stuff. You don't want anything messing with that. I mean, let alone it's covered in seed oils, which are engine lubricants. The engine, which was taken from... no one thinks that seed oils are good, whether you're a plant-based carnivore, if you're anybody. I think vegans eat a lot of seed oils, but of course that's a different diet than a plant-based diet. But, the canola oil and vegetable oil and all these, I have to think to myself, how can they get that many seeds? Because you have to have buckets and buckets of seeds in order to just create a bottle of canola oil. What are they doing? Where they, I know there's a lot of seeds left over from the industry and stuff, winemaking. This is rapeseed oil, or, I think that's from the wine industry, but all these particular seeds and mountains of them, where do they get them all to create all this canola oil? All these different oils, I mean, right? So anyway, that's it. And thanks for watching. Of course, if you want to support me, you can do that at the links at the beginning of the video. As you can see on there, subscribestar.com/theouterlight, patreon.com/theouterdark, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.